Norway in 2008, the United States Marine Corps in 2011, France in 2017, Germany following. 4 separate militaries, 4 separate procurement processes, 4 separate sets of operational requirements, and all 4 landed on the same rifle as their general issue assault weapon. That convergence is what this video is about, not whether the HK416 is a good rifle. The procurement record has already answered that, but why? Because if you're following Project Grayburn, the British Army's ongoing SA-80 replacement programme, the HK416 is one of the rifles on the table. Understanding why it keeps getting chosen by conventional forces is the baseline the whole evaluation sits on. This is the first in a series of deep dives covering every Grayburn contender. We start with the benchmark. The HK416 was not designed as a general issue rifle, it was designed to solve a specific operational problem for a specific unit. Delta Force by the late 1990s was running into the limits of the M4 carbine under their particular conditions. Short barrels, heavy suppressors, sustained rates of fire. The M4's direct impingement system routes hot, carbon-laden propellant gas back through a tube directly into the bolt carrier group to cycle the action. Under sustained suppressed fire through a short barrel, that gas return is dirtier and hotter than the system was designed to handle. Heat and carbon accumulation in the BCG shortened the interval between stoppages. The 9mm MP5, their other option, was considered underpowerful a threat. Delta Force, at the request of R&D NCO Larry Vickers, collaborated with Heckler & Koch to develop a new carbine in the 1990s for use in close quarters combat. The requirement was specific: retain the AR-15 manual of arms and ergonomics, the controls soldiers already knew, but replace the operating system. During the development, HK drew on experience from the Bundeswehr's G36 program, the US Army's XM8 project, and the British Armed Forces SA-80A2 upgrade program. The project was originally called the Heckler & Koch M4 until Colt filed a trademark infringement suit. The final designation, HK416, derives from the M4 and M16 it was built to replace. The solution to Delta's problem would 2 decades later become the standard rifle for hundreds of thousands of conventional soldiers. That trajectory is worth understanding. The fix is the gas system. The HK system uses a short-stroke gas piston driving an operating rod to force the bolt carrier to the rear. This design prevents combustion gases from entering the weapon's interior, a shortcoming with direct impingement systems. The reduction in heat and fouling of the bolt carrier group increases reliability and extends the interval between stoppages. The gas never contacts the BCG. The piston takes the energy pulse, drives the operating rod rearward, and the action cycles without the carbon and heat being deposited directly into the bolt carrier group. The receiver stays cleaner, the BCG runs cooler, and the lubrication lasts longer under sustained fire. During factory tests, the HK416 fired 10,000 rounds in full auto without malfunctioning. That is the engineering case. What the 2007 Aberdeen test provided was external, comparative validation. In 2007, the US Army conducted an extreme dust test at Aberdeen Proving Ground, firing 60,000 rounds each through 10 examples of 4 competitors: the HK XM8, FN SCAR L, HK416 and M4 carbine. The XM8 recorded 127 stoppages, the SCAR L recorded 226, the HK416 recorded 233, the M4 recorded 882, significantly worse than the rest of the field. 2 caveats are necessary before treating those numbers as definitive. 239 of the M4's 882 failures were magazine related rather than weapon related. Army officials identified the Stanag magazine as a contributing factor independent of the carbine itself. Second, the HK416 and M4 were production weapons pulled from the inventory without manufacturer preparation, while the XM8 and SCAR were purpose-built test articles. The test was an assessment of future capability, not a procurement competition. The Army retained the M4. The result that mattered operationally had already happened 3 years earlier. Delta Force replaced the M4s with the HK416 in 2004 after tests revealed that the piston operating system significantly reduces malfunctions while increasing the life of parts. Aberdeen confirmed what JSOC had already concluded from operational use. The question that follows Aberdeen is why the reliability advantage that justified Delta's switch eventually justified general issue adoption across 4 conventional militaries. The variant evolution answers part of that. The 416, as Delta adopted it in 2004, was a specialised tool. What it became over the following 2 decades was a progressively more capable general issue platform. That evolution is visible in the variant progression. The base HK416 lacked a firing pin safety. The A1 added a firing pin safety and spring. The A2 introduced full over-the-beach capability, a SOCOM specified requirement for immediate firing after water immersion. The A3 incorporated a side-accessible adjustable gas block, a captive cotter pin on the bolt carrier, and the ability to place the weapon on safe with the hammer forward. The A5 is where the platform took its most significant step towards broader military utility. It introduced ambidextrous controls, a toolless adjustable gas regulator capable of accommodating barrel lengths down to 267mm without modification, a redesigned lower receiver with optimized magazine compatibility, and a repair kit housed inside the pistol grip. Critically, the A5 corrected the non-standard magwell geometry of earlier variants. Previous models were profiled on the HK43 and the SA80, limiting stag-nag compatibility. Returning to the standard AR geometry for general issue context, where logistics and magazine commonality across the force matter, that correction was significant. The A8, adopted by the Bundeswehr as a G95A1, features a quick, detached, lever-actuated M-lock handguard with 1913 rails at the 12 and 6 o'clock positions, an adaptive battle grip, and an HK slimline stock. The G95K A1 variant runs a 40-inch barrel. The G95A1 runs 16.5 inches. Each iteration addressed a specific shortcoming identified through operational use. That is a development cycle shaped by real-world feedback, not paper specification. 4 militaries adopted this platform in full knowledge of its penalties. Those penalties are real and worth stating precisely. Weight is the most significant. The HK416A7 weighs 3.7 kilograms. Most of the competition weighs between 2.6 and 3.2 kilograms. The piston assembly and free floating handguards sit forward of the receiver. That forward weight distribution affects handling over extended dismounted patrol in a way raw figures don't fully convey. It's a different carry characteristic from the M4 and not a favourable one for light infantry. The recoil impulse is considered slightly harsher than that of the properly tuned M4. Current M4 configurations in use by the US elite forces run a mid-length gas tube, producing a softer shooting platform than the 416 in some assessments. There's also the carrier tilt question. The piston rod imparts force at the top of the bolt carrier rather than through its centre, creating a tendency for the rear of the carrier to angle downwards during cycling. HK's bolt carrier addresses this using skis on the bottom of the carrier to prevent off-axis movement and allowing smooth entry into the buffer tube. The design is not intended to eliminate tilt, but to prevent the carrier from gouging the receiver extension. The pads mitigate damage, not the underlying physics, worth understanding for anyone evaluating piston AR platforms broadly. Parts compatibility with the standard AR-15 components is limited. The gas system, bolt carrier group and the handguard are proprietary. Pre-A5 variants had a non-standard magwell. The logistics burdens for a unit running 416s differ materially from one running M4s. The honest assessment is that the reliability gap between the 416 and a modern properly maintained DI carbine has narrowed since 2005. The current M4A1 and the US MC Mark 18 are substantially more capable than the M4 Delta moved away from. The 416's argument remains strongest in the conditions that originally justified it: suppressed short-barreled configurations, sustained fire, water ingress, and maintenance-constrained environments. 4 militaries looked at the trade-off: more weight, more cost, restricted parts compatibility, marginal recoil increase, and selected the platform anyway. The adoption record is the answer to why. The through line from Delta's 2004 switch to 4 nations' general issue adoption runs through a consistent logic. Each procurement decision was made independently under different doctrine, different geography, different threat assessments. All of them arrived at the same conclusion. Delta Force replaced its M4s with the HK416 in 2004 after operational testing confirmed that the piston system significantly reduces malfunctions and increases parts life. Norway adopted the HK416N, as their standard issue rifle in 2008. The US Marine Corps adopted a modified variant, the M27 Infantry Automatic Rifle, initially replacing the M249 SAW and eventually the M16A4, M4 and M4A1 across the infantry squads. France selected the HK416 to replace the FAMAS in 2017, an order of 93,080 rifles across short and standard configurations. Germany followed with the G95A1 replacing the G36 as the Bundeswehr's standard service rifle. SEAL Team 6 used the HK416D during the 2011 raid that killed Osama bin Laden. The weight penalty is real, the cost premium is real, the proprietary logistics burden is real. None of it stops 5 significant military establishments from selecting the platform. That is a procurement record built on operational experience across a range of environments and doctrines, and it is the baseline against which every Project Grayburn contender will be measured. The next video in this series covers the HK433, the HK's own proposed successor to the 416, and one of the rifles currently assessed under Grayburn. The comparison between what the 416 is and what the 433 was designed to fix tells you a great deal about where the Piston AR platform goes next.